Yo te de, yo te de, ay, oh, ay, oh, yo te de, yo te de, yo te de, ay, oh, yo te de, yo te de, yo te de, ay, oh, yo te de. Hello, welcome. Hello, my friends, old and new, OGs, and new curious souls and strange birds. Um, 'Tis the season of Taurus. 'Tis the season of the Western Taurus, and by another name, might be the eagle or the knight. And so, in so many ways, it leads to this so perfectly. Um, Not to say procrastination, but collecting feathers, especially given the place that Taurus takes up in my own placements, and the ways in which it collects or grows. But per mitote modification, we take the Western words for it and we decolonize our understandings of astrology and the energies and their innervations. Um, there's some cards that we'll pull, and there's some learning we will do together. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, hi, hello, welcome. My name is Blair, and I use my own indigenous perspective as well as research and science and my own perspective of modern understandings and remembering the ancestral knowledge and the deepest points of ourselves to help us awaken curiously and rise to the occasion responsibly. So, this channel will always have full moon readings, new moon readings, integrative breathwork, and activating asana practices and meditations to take us places we never thought we would go, never thought we could go, and never thought we would make it back from. And so, with this video in specific, one of many cycle of harmonies in which we will take this Western idea of Taurus and decolonize its astrology and see what lies beneath and what expands beyond. There are many resources on my website to help expand that idea as well. And what I mean when I say internal vortex behavior, or how Western astrology expands beyond the 12 and into the 13 signs and into the 20, and what I mean with that mathematically and what I mean with that etymologically, etc., etc., etc. But, hello, hi, welcome. There's a lot to chew, eh? So we will focus on the solar season today. Solar season of Taurus. It's like a weekend or so. So like, key point in my own Taurian natures in either procrastination or collecting the feathers of the eagle, and perhaps rooting in the night, resting and growing, because oftentimes that's the biggest growth, right? We wake up and suddenly things are different. The dreams are very much implanted, very much winds that catch these feathers of knowledge as well. And so, Taurus is an earth sign. Sure, yeah, totally. However, it is also the earth of earth. So very grounded, deeply rooted, beyond just soil even, but like, how the earth has layers of soil, has a deeper point of rooting, has like mineral content even, like earth of earth would be like mining in a way. And quite honestly, even as I say that, in the deeper layers that you go, eventually you hit like magma in the core of the earth, right? And so the advancement or the maturing of Taurian energies would lead us exactly there. So follow along, my friend. It would also maybe be the earth of air. The earth of air as in as intention and release, which is ultimately relaxation. Like relaxation is kind of defined by capacity to tense and release. This is a key point in Yoga Nidra. Quite honestly, also how I've heard people describe pop locking in dance is it's yes the tension, but also characterized by your capacity to relax after that tension. And I thought that was really beautiful. But release very much so, much like the earth even, or the soil, like will give off heat, will give off moisture, will give off frequency and help lead to water, or will give off smoke and let you know when there's fire underneath the earth. All of these sort of like signals of response is very much the earth of air. In a way, you could also consider the way that that's potentially regenerative, precipitory, and regenerative, um, much like the rain, much like rivers flow, much like cycles and seasons, and for I think the beauty that Taurian natures can be attracted to or very grounded in, that is also something that they hold in deep capacity. You might have heard people say that like your signs will also very much show themselves in your physical nature, and Taurian people can be very broad-shouldered or top-heavy or like have thick necks, or the very big breasts, big bosoms, and with that, the ways in which we also have great capacity to hold emotion, the ways in which we have great response to the waters in us, or at least are called to, and great responsibility to it, which is also where Taurian natures can be, misguided or misidentified with very sedentary lifestyles, or like couch potato kind of stereotypes. It's sort of like a misuse of earth, a misunderstanding of earth, and a misuse of earth of air. Interestingly enough, as it would advance, could arguably be a mature state of Taurus or the beginnings of Gemini, in which case it would be fire-ridden. And so an air fire for Gemini, but an earth of fire for Taurus, in which case it would be a root cause, or like root core, root desires, embodiment in a big way, but embodiment in which the nervous system and the physical body are very reactive and responsive to each other. So consider these relationships and the ways in which they advance and mature and the ways in which they gather information. Something that is very much Taurian assisted. And in that, also regarded as a negative sign, a negative charge, which is more so receptive, can also be very rejecting of negative charges, can be both very attracting and also very dictating of what energy is allowed into the room. And so we get into the stereotype of very stubborn natures, for sure. And not just a stereotype, I've very much seen that. However, in the context of Taurus as the eagle or the knight, the ways in which any of those things can be passed more thoroughly, passed more evenly through, with eagle and its capacity to be fierce but also graceful, to, again, we have the bald eagle and the stubbornness, or this sort of sense of like top heavy, better than, I suppose. But it also can be very, very swift, very judiciary even, and very definitive to grasp at what it knows. Eagle feathers are also knowledge, and also the ways in which we share energy. So again, the ways in which energy is held in the body, and the ways in which we're able to pass that energy in some way, shape, or form. And again, regenerative, and again, the night, and the ways in which not only is that rest, but it allows plants to rest and recuperate and unfurl. It allows for sudden growth. It allows for surprise. And again, oftentimes the best ideas are given life in the night and allowed to arise. And it is not the day that brings good idea, but it is the day that allows for our perception to absorb it or to digest it. Which is yet again how the light is not defined by light itself, but by the shadows of the night. The idea of eagle or night energies advancing and maybe being a more mature Taurus would be panther, which is very much embodied, very sleek, very sexy, very muscular, very grounded, very close to the earth, very feeling of the earth, so steady that it is almost a part of the earth, or advancing with the earth, which is, the deeper we go into ourselves, the more thoroughly we flourish outside of ourselves, and the more present that is for us to see and us to believe, because it is also reflected in the surfaces around us. In a very real way, the ways in which Taurus natures would advance into Gemini is kind of reminds me like a particle passing through a barrier. In advancing your capacity to see or feel what's on the other side of the wall without, being all horns and bashing through it, or being stubborn and rejecting it or avoiding it altogether, which would be the sort of detriment of Taurus or the eagle or night. Let's see. Oh gosh, yes, that's right. Yes. With that, let's see what this has to say about all of that. Eagle would be specifically in advancement toward Tsilagi or Cherokee astrology, and Night would be more acutely directed toward Mexica astrology, Azteca astrology, or Toltec astrology. With that, the first dabble we'll do is Cherokee Astrology by Raven Hale, which is interestingly enough the only source of the thing, other than this. And interestingly enough, because I've never really, searched competitive stuff or whatever. Interestingly enough, AI would posit that Taurus would translate to the deer, but also that Gemini would translate to the deer, which means that it's not mathematically allowing these to advance evenly, or not considering the decimal integers, which if you're more interested on what that means, then check out the Alsair's Codex and the paper/instruction booklet attached to it. So it's interesting. The only other person doing this kind of perspective of astrology is deceased, which is why we love this book, and a way to honor our ancestors and those that came before us. But also AI, and AI's got it wrong. How silly. So, thank you for being here. Welcome. And I hope that makes you feel more grounded in the face of people turning to too much technology, because technology couldn't tell you this. Eagle would be the directive west, so earth sign, west earth memory, and night would be northern air. And panther would be fire. West, end of rainbows, wings on the wind, fly away to the stars, area on the Thunderstone mountain. Thunderbird, silver, jewels of the moon, Tektites. Earth, iris or blue flag, flower, ginseng, herb. In the sky, eagle is Mars, the red planet, spirit warrior of the heavenly host. His comrades in arms are comets. Taurus is really underestimated in Western astrology, quite honestly. And interestingly enough, this gives you the opposite eye of perspective because Taurus in Western astrology is associated with Venus. So for Turkey astrology to associate it with Mars gives an interesting, like, inverted perspective and perhaps a more total perspective. His thunder echoes from the mountains and the earth trembles at his voice. He throws thunderbolts of fire. He controls the airways, wind, storm, cloud, rain, hail, sleet, and snow. He is a minion of Grandfather Moon. According to legend, Venus appeared, first as the morning star to tell the world that the sun was coming. Mars was mad because he too wanted to be the morning star. And so he and Venus kept bumping together around the Earth until the sun sorted them out on opposite sides of planet Earth. Mars threw stones, which ended up on Earth as tektites. These are greatly prized as mystic charms from outer space. Cherokees are friends of thunder, the voice of the thunderbird, the mighty eagle who patrols the skies. Which is interesting because even a Western understanding of Taurian nature would be kind of this chesty bull, or a buffalo. A misremembered buffalo who's running in herds is often mistaken for fields of thunder and their responses to storms, obviously.